Come on.
Well, good morning. It's 07:35 on Tuesday, the 20th of September, and we have a quorum for the commission meeting. Mr. Beaton is remote for the first part of it, and then he'll be joining us a little bit later. But with that said, I call the meeting to order. Our first agenda item is bill schedules and warrants. Did anybody have any questions on any of the warrants, reviewing at all? I know it came over the new laptops that we got, so you could review it and see if it, I didn't see anything out of the ordinary, but any other comments or questions? Or?
Not yet, no.
And if so, do we have a motion to accept the warrants? Well, we're just going to sign off on that, so we'll go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
Okay, next agenda item while that's going on is the meeting minutes of the 26th July 2022. Anybody have any comments or questions on the minutes for the 26th of July?
I do.
Okay.
I think under item 4, the review of the cable audited financial statements, shouldn't that be Ms. Vaughn and not Ms. Goulet
Yes.
throughout?
Yes.
So those all need to get changed.
Okay.
And I think it wasn't a correction of a clerical error, wasn't it? More of a restatement. It wasn't a clerical error. So that needs to be rephrased as a change in accounting method.
Okay. And with those changes, do we have a motion to accept the minutes as revised?
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second?
Yes.
Yes, okay, great. All in favor? Aye, okay.
Aye.
Okay.
Do I have to sign one?
That's approved, yes. No, I don't think you'll sign that right now because they're not correct. Once they're corrected,
once
you can
it's
sign
corrected,
it.
they sign it.
Okay. Okay, the next is election of officers. We have a position as chair, vice chair, and clerk/secretary. These are for 1 year. Do we have any motions on the election of officers?
Yes, I move that we elect Bob Holland as chair.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Matt, you in favor of me becoming chairman? I want to make sure we're unanimous. If not, here's your chance to take a shot.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, slow off mute, yeah.
Okay, thanks. Okay, and for vice chair, do we have a nomination?
Yes, Mike?
Mike?
Mike? Okay, I'll second that. Anybody else nominate? No? Yeah, all in favor of Mike Ruffolo being the vice chair?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's, and clerk secretary, I'd nominate Tony, if you're willing to continue serving as the
Sure.
clerk secretary. I'll nominate Tony as the clerk secretary of the SELCO board.
Second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, with that, election of officers complete. And finally, not finally, but the next item on here is October 5th, 2022, Energy Efficiency Day. Mr. Roy, do you want to address that, or is somebody from your CREC staff going to talk to us about it?
Sure. So Energy Efficiency Day is a nationally recognized day. We've celebrated it the last few years. Board of Selectmen and the Commission typically make a statement about that. So we just ask you to make that proclamation that's been presented in your packet.
Okay.
Happens to coincide with Public Power Week too, so a little extra juice.
Yep. Well, that's getting to be a big thing.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, actually, the motion would be to approve our participation in Energy Efficiency Day.
Yep, that
Okay.
works.
We have a motion to approve our participation in Energy Efficiency Day.
The proclamation,
Yes.
Proclamation, yeah, the proclamation that's in the, yes,
that's included in the
yeah,
packet.
in package, yeah.
We support the that's.
Yeah, you support that proclamation and sign the proclamation, aye,
Yes.
Tony? Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. So we'll pass that around, get that signed in Energy Efficiency Day. Because that's getting to be actually a real big thing. I mean, when you look at things that are being built in town today that are going to be in place for 40 years, we better start looking at what the standards or what the expectations are in the future rather than what today's standards are. So that's one of those things to get people's arms around with all the building that's going on, whatever. Okay. We have a review and consider approval to designate the general manager as a designee to approve and release executive session meetings pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 22G1. Does anybody want to explain that or
Yeah.
get any further? I mean, I understand it, but I mean,
Sure.
okay.
I guess the most concise summary is that from time to time, as the materials that were covered in executive session become, I guess, obsolete or less sensitive in nature, then that requires review and then release into the public record for inspection. So this is just more of a housekeeping item to allow us a formal mechanism to go back into the executive session minutes, review whether or not they can be declassified, if you will, and then made part of the public record.
Okay, and part of that is that many times in the past, we've gone almost a year before we've had another second executive session where we would normally approve the minutes in executive session from the previous year. This allows you, pursuant to this decision, to a month or so, whenever you feel more comfortable about releasing those minutes, we can possibly do that and still be in compliance. That my understanding, and that Jaws?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so with that, we have a motion to designate the general manager as the designee to approve and release the executive session minutes.
Yep, so moved.
Okay? Do we have a
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And, I heard Matt, okay, great. Okay, the next is review the electric and cable second quarter financial statements.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And for the record, state your name.
Jim Zacco. And I'll be presenting the Q2 financials. And this will be a little bit of bridge today, but we are going to start with the electric income statement and balance sheet. Then we're going to go to the cable income statement, balance sheet, and then I have a quick update for everybody. So just taking a look at the electric income statement, this is the budget to actuals for Q2. We can see our total operating revenue is about 4% above plan on a quarter to date, and from a year to date perspective, it is about 10% above plan. Taking a look at our operating expenses, we can see our total operating is 7% on quarter to date above plan, and 10% as well above plan for year to date, just like the operating revenue. When we jump down and we take a look at our gross income and our net income, you can see some large percentages both ways. And this is basically, as we've kind of talked about this year, because of the fluctuation in different costs and in unknown things, unknown factors during the budgeting process, you can kind of see some of the I'll call it funkiness, I guess is the best term I have, but you can see where the gross income, it gives a negative 800%, and the net income is looking at a positive 700 on the opposite. When you take a look at the actual numbers from plan, we're really not that far off on the actuals. It's just about 300,000. This still puts us in, we're the same as we were Q1. We're at a negative 4% on plan. And just so everybody remembers, we had the, last meeting, we talked about increasing the electric rates. We are not seeing that yet in Q2. We will see that Q3, but we're going to see just a little bit of an uptick because it only happened in the third month of that quarter. Taking a look at a year-over-year comparison, we can see our operating revenues are 4%. There's a 4% increase over prior year, and our year-to-date is 1% over prior year. When we take a look at our operating expenses, they are 34% over last year, and that's quarter to date. Year to date, they're 33%. Jumping down to net income, you can see that it is a decrease of 124%. And this is somewhat expected, as we knew we were going to have some negative numbers this year compared to last year. Jumping over to the balance sheet, we can see our total current assets. There was a change of about 3.7 million. And when we take a look at our non-current assets, there was a change, I think I went too quick, of 12 million. One thing from the documents you guys are looking at, there was one issue where there was a formula missing in the net change. I just want to point that out. So the total asset net change of 8 million on the sheet that you guys have, I noticed that Sunday night when I was putting together the presentation, it was just off. It's actually supposed to be 8.6 million.
Where are you looking?
When you look
Oh,
at
at the
yeah.
very bottom, okay.
So the assets match the liability for both years, but the change, it was different, and I was like, why is that? And there were just two formulas that were missing from the change column. When we jump down to liabilities, the total liabilities increased year over year about 10 million, and you can see our earned surplus is down about 2 million right now. The total change again is 8.6 million. So that is kind of the abridged version of electric. To give just kind of a little synopsis, this is kind of where we expected to be to a point at this year. We knew with the change in the electric forecast and everything and the power cost increase that there was going to be some negative numbers through the beginning of this year. The one thing I just want everybody to note, we did do an electric rate increase to kind of offset this for the end of Q3 and Q4. The one thing that wasn't included in that evaluation was just the war in Ukraine affecting inflation. We didn't have those numbers for how that'll impact purchase power costs because they don't exist yet.
So what you're saying is that even though we approved a 10% rate increase and promised that that would probably hold the course for quite some time,
Yeah.
as of effective 1 September, is that not so fast because there are other factors that have come in since that rate change. Right now, we're holding to the 10%. We'll see what goes on.
Exactly.
No-
Yeah, it may not hit anything. It may have an effect. We just don't know yet. And MWEC's the one that kind of provides those financial forecasts. They didn't have an updated one. They're probably, working as hard as they can to get them ready for budgeting season for forecasting for 2023. But so we'll kind of see if there's any weird anomalies in the next couple months.
Okay, and MWEC for the viewing public is our wholesale power supplier.
Correct.
For munis and whatnot.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Any questions on the electric financials?
Well, looking at the income statement, it's like purchase power is what's really throwing us off, right? So like
Yes.
that's like the biggest factor there. I'm also noticing that we're not within our target range on a return on plant assets. What does that mean, and is there a way for us to get within that range?
So that is what the increase for electric rates is intended to do. From a what does that mean, I'm not sure, and Chris, you can correct me, by statute, do we have to be at zero for, okay.
No, it's just,
Nope.
it's just for our comfort level, that's like our target, not,
Yes.
like it's not a mandated target, okay,
We just can't be over 8%.
okay. Okay, well, we're not gonna get there this year.
No, nope.
No.
Yeah, it's usually not a concern for most people.
That has been a problem since I've been on the board, and it's been
Nah.
decades.
And then just looking at the balance sheet, the prepayments, does that represent the funds that we have held at MWEC?
No, that does not include all of them. Those funds are held, and I just gotta make sure. Let me get back to you on where exactly those are held, because I know, or I believe the dollar amount should be larger if that was included in there, just based on the money we released this year. But I believe those are held in a separate area of the balance sheet, but I'd have to double check just where.
Okay, it's not operating funds?
No.
Okay. So right now, we have a change in cash of like 5.4 million for half the year.
Yes, that does include the payment for the working capital to MWEC.
Okay, so that, like that
Yes.
transferred out, okay.
Good. And MWEC is how often are they collecting out of this fund now? Are they doing it we don't,
They always, it's a constant rotation the way that
we
fund
got monthly,
works.
then they went to
Yes.
bi-weekly, and then it was every
Yes.
3 days or something like that. So
Yeah.
that's why we put the money in a separate account with
Yes.
MWIC so that it would be there, right?
No, yeah, and I look at it kind of, just so I could wrap my head around it, I looked at it kind of as a retainer, right? We gave MWEC money, they're spending out of that money, and then every month when we get our bill, we're refunding that money. And the purpose of that is to make sure we don't have to borrow money from MWEC and then pay interest on that money.
Right, that was the issue that was going on. Okay, thank you. And no other questions on electric? Okay, let's go to cable.
So taking a look over to cable, starting with the budgeted to actual numbers, we are 4% above plan on operating results for quarter to date. We are 3% above plan year to date. Jumping down to operating expenses, we are 6% above plan quarter to date and 4% above plan year to date. If we take a look and we jump down to net income, this brings us 7% above plan, and we are both quarter to date and year to date. Much rosier picture. Taking a look at the year-over-year actuals, we have 0 growth in our total operating revenue. Quarter to date, year to date, we are down 2%. Looking at our operating expenses, we are quarter to date down 4% and year to date down 1%. Jumping down to net income, we are 1% below last year and quarter to date and 3% year to date. When we take a look at our balance sheet now, we can see our assets have increased 17 million year over year, and that's basically due to the fiber project. Taking a look at our non-current assets, you can see there is a $2 million increase. Overall, total assets have increased 19 million. As we go through the fiber project, one thing I expect to see as well is we'll be decommissioning current items that are in the field today for the legacy infrastructure. That should have an offset to bring down the assets that, if anything, is still there that isn't fully depreciated. That makes sense? Okay, just wasn't sure. I got some looks. Yeah. Jumping over to the liabilities.
You only have glazed over eyes.
No, that's fine. I'm right there with you.
That makes sense.
Taking a look at our liabilities, total liabilities increased about 14 million, and once again, that is the bond year over year. Looking at the earned surplus, we have an increase of about 4.9, almost 5 million, bringing our total liabilities and earned surplus to increase 19 million year over year. Any questions from the cable side?
I have a question. So it looks like signal sales has increased over the budget, and internet services has, internet services, looking at the year-to-date, the comparison. So from year to year, the signal sales went up and the internet sales went down. How's that happening when we're doing more?
So
When our hope is to go more towards internet, and then
Yeah, good question.
I think this is also cost. It's not necessarily subscribers. So the subscriber counts I'd have to look into to see what was the increase and decrease year over year for Q2. But I'll admit I haven't jumped into these numbers this quarter to see if there was anything odd. But my expectation is it could be just, certain increasing costs led to higher revenue, but the expenses as well are increased, if that makes sense. So every year it costs more for us to buy cable TV, video service. It also brings in more money because we're charging more for it.
okay,
Where on the internet side of things, as we're moving certain people over or we're looking at things, people could be downsizing packages as well. So I'm not sure what that trend is, if you will.
Okay. I think that's something we probably need to keep an eye on,
Yes.
because if that's decreased, I mean, that's,
Mm.
we don't
Yep.
need, we don't want that,
No, 100%. And
going down and cable going up and then having less
Yeah,
Subscriber counts are in the general manager's highlight at the end.
Yeah.
You can see the growth.
it's not so much the subscribers, it's just what the fees that what we're collecting on those
yeah,
services.
and you can see we're kind of in line with both of those two for the budget to actuals. So this was, to a point, what we were expecting. I was actually expecting a bigger decline in the internet just based on, certain changes of things.
Okay. One more thing, there's a line item, okay, so transmitting expenses,
Yes,
you have an amount in actuals under budget to quarter, but you don't have that, an amount in the actuals for the year-to-date.
for,
Transmitting expenses?
yes, but that was for the budget. Oh, I will double check that.
Right, there should be something in there.
Yeah, no, that's just probably a file issue.
Okay,
Yeah. We recreated this year all new files, and as I get to the next announcement, I'll explain how we'll be doing that again next year. Any other questions?
sure.
Okay.
So looking at the plant assets on the balance sheet, so have you been moving things out because it looks like there's a decrease?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
you've been,
Yes, there are a bunch of items that every year get disposed of. There are certain things that we remove as the infrastructure is going. The main items, though, in some of these may not change. It's still to be debated, and I'm speaking with our auditors about some of it. But basically, as we're replacing infrastructure, the old infrastructure is still there. So a lot of the main infrastructure that could be removed has not been yet from financials. That there's a caveat to that, because as we're learning for stuff like overhead wiring, we may decide to use the current cable that is bringing items in kind of as a guide wire to hook the fiber up to. So instead of pulling that cable down, spending money on cable just to support the fiber, utilizing that other fiber. I don't know, and this is what I've kind of started to talk to the auditors about. I'm not sure if we should be changing the value of that item. So like if it's, let's say, halfway depreciated, do we dispose of some of it but keep the other cost because there still is adding value? So that's what we're going to kind of figure out from that infrastructure. But the items you're seeing are more like the cable boxes, any type of devices, some of the server items that change in and out. So it's those type of items compared to a lot of the
yeah, the head end
grid
equipment
infrastructure.
and the distribution, those are the two
Yes.
that have gone down, okay?
Yes.
And there's also obviously construction in progress, it's decreased. Just one other quick note, it should be 2022 and 2021.
Yes. Yep. Sorry about that. Okay, any additional questions?
Nope.
Oh,
Okay, for a quick update, just wanted to let you guys know you will not see me at the next meeting. We are going live with our new financial system, and I just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of an update of what this is, what's happening, just so everybody kind of has an understanding. And that's kind of why we had the abridged financial version this month, because we're knee-deep in converting stuff over. So currently, we have one financial system, two billing systems. They really have no integration other than Excel, and we have separate vendors for all these different things. At the beginning of the year, we signed a contract to move over with the company NISC. They are a cooperative out from the Midwest that has a integrated solution that connects our front office to our back office. The first part of this system we're going live with is the financials, and this is going to bring us our reporting. It does accounts payable, payroll. We're going to have work orders, fleet management, inventory, purchasing, fixed assets, budgeting. Some of these items we may not have day one 100% full bore, but this is going to build up our internal controls, a lot of our processes that we have, and over the next couple of years, we're going to be able to get more detailed reporting for our internal decision making. With that, the second half of the system comes next year. And it comes in a few different pieces, but it's mainly the billing part, and then there's operation modules. But with that, we'll have new billing and collections. We'll have service orders. It comes with a customer portal that'll have more detailed information for people. So as soon as we get our AMI meters in, people will be able to go out and see their usage on the customer portal. It will be implementing an MDM system, which is meter data management, which will work for the AMI. And then we'll also have things like outage management and other engineering tools that'll help us with our two main overall goals, which are to be really dependent and resilient, right? We have to make sure that the customers who depend on us for for the services we provide have them, and we have to be resilient enough to adapt to changes in both our industry and any government reporting that is required. So I just wanted to let you know, because this is, I look at it as we have 3 major projects going on, and this is kind of unheard of in the municipal muni world, but 2 of them are to support our infrastructure, and this one supports the backbone infrastructure of the company. And besides doing something really, really different in the next 10 years, I'd say those are the 3 biggest projects SELCO is going to have probably in the next 10 years. And this is, once we get this installed, AMI meters and fiber, you're looking at a different SELCO.
It's a lot of stuff.
It is. It is.
And why are we not going to see you next month?
Yeah.
Because that is our go live date. We will be in live week. I will be running around, putting out fires, making sure everything's working. So
You're not just saving bad news for the day you're not going to be here.
no. We are
Sure. Okay.
Nope. We are just going to be making sure that everything works and everybody's happy and nobody's running around,
Okay.
in disaster
I
zone.
guess we'll hear the screams.
You hope.
Yeah, yeah. You'll know if you could hear us from over there. It didn't go well.
Out in the back of the room. Okay. Well, great. Appreciate it. Any other questions of anybody on in the electric or cable?
So you'll be able to just print out your financial statements off of that system, right? You won't be having to put it through
So there's a couple different options. Right now they have an Excel extract, which is looking to be the most favorable, which will allow us in Excel to just pull the data right out of the system. So we'll pre-set up the financials and it should move it around. But I'll also be able to push a button and see the financials to see if that matches. It won't be as pretty. So we're going to see which one looks more aesthetically pleasing. And they also have, which isn't going to be implemented yet, they have a reporting module that has dynamic reporting, so you can drop down and drill down into things. When we get that coming as well, I'm curious to see what we can utilize that for presentations, to see if we have questions, subscriber count, we might be able to jump right into the system and start to drill down right into things.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Zucco? Okay, the next item is to review cable programming changes. Ms. Pratt, you can lead us in this?
See if I can present. I don't know if we need to present this per se. So we've got some changes that are coming up. As you folks know, we're going to be replacing our legacy cable system. I don't know, Aaron, if you wanted to join me in case there's any questions that might be helpful. We're going to be replacing our legacy cable system with Minerva, which is an authenticated over-the-top streaming product. And with this move, we've actually launched a new system within NCTC's framework. NCTC is National Cable Television Co-op, recently renamed National Communications and Telecommunications Co-op. So just, to add that to your acronyms. So with that move, we made some decisions in the Minerva platform that we weren't going to be bringing over older channels that really aren't being utilized, premiums in particular that are niche channels. So in looking at the channels that are not coming over to Minerva, that would be CCTV4, TV Asia, ZTV, and Playboy. These are premiums with very low subscriber counts, fewer than 20 on all of them, fewer than 10 on a couple. And these are products that are available through other mechanisms, online streaming with direct-to-consumer products. So with these changes, we're going to be dropping those channels on the Minerva platform, but we've also found the opportunity to take them off of the legacy platform effective November 1st. So that particular change is going to allow us to stand down some older equipment and stop having to support it, which is helpful to our head-end team. And we're also going to be dropping legacy video on demand, which is the movies on demand library. Nobody really buys them anymore because you can get it from Prime or Netflix or whoever. So in looking at the fact that we're not bringing that over to Minerva and evaluating our current equipment, which is not working properly in the head end, we're also going to be sunsetting video on demand on the legacy plant November 1st. So we're expecting some cost savings with that move, particularly in the library catalog content. It's about $5,000 a month that we would save. There's also maintenance contract, $62,000 annually. And then we should see guide licensing rates drop for us probably in April because we get to stand down one of the application suites that we're currently using on the legacy cable boxes to support VOD. With that, we've got those changes that are going out to customers. We also have had some new contracts that have been negotiated. Starz Super Pack and Showtime are the two. And our pricing for those was high compared to what the direct-to-consumer streaming offerings were that are being made by these actual programmers. So a little push and pull there, and we've gotten our rates down to a point where we can offer those premium services to our customers at the same cost that they would pay for a direct contract or direct service through the streamers. So we're actually going to be sending a notification to those customers that their rate's going down. So that's a big win. That's good news for people. With all this shuffling of the premium, we've noticed that some of our other premium costs are not necessarily in alignment also with the streaming services, primarily HBO and Cinemax. Those contracts are held through NCTC, and hopefully we'll be able to see some downward pressure on those rates going forward. But in the meantime, our multi-premium discounts are eroding the value of what we're charging our customers to cover those costs that we're paying. So with all these other changes, we're going to be eliminating the multi-premium discount. We took a look at the number of subscribers receiving these discounts, and most of them subscribe to either Starz, Showtime, or both. So although the premium multi-premium discounts going away, their costs for those premiums are also dropping. So it's pretty much a wash for those customers who are impacted. So with these changes, it also simplifies the packages that we have to bring into Minerva, which Aaron can attest to. The fewer things we have to have that are complicated as we make this move would be very helpful to his team. And I think that covers all of it. So these are just some, it doesn't affect a large group of customers. There's no vote required. These are all kind of operational changes. But we just want to be upfront with you folks and let you guys know that they're happening in case you get questions from customers, if you have any questions yourselves.
I get a couple of questions. That Asia and the ZTV, did you get any feedback on that? When they wanted that originally, they filled up the, we had a meeting and they filled up that room. They had people overflowing to show all the support. And we put it on there, and over the years, it never increased.
Yeah, we never really had a large number of subscribers
Now
to
they're
it.
not worrying about it anymore?
Well, you know, the challenge is there's a lot of back-end support required to provide those services in terms of supporting the equipment. And for the number of subscribers and the cost of the package, it really doesn't wash out for us in the end to continue to support that.
They can get that information other places.
And there's been a total change in technology where consumers are now able to go get direct streaming services. I mean, I never want to point anybody to a product other than SELCO,
Right.
but also there's satellite if they really felt strongly.
Right.
Well, I know you mentioned it, but,
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking like TV Asia, 4 people. I mean, it's not like we're cutting out a whole community or something.
No, no,
on this
no.
thing. And the same thing with ZTV, that's the it's 12. I mean, so it's very minimal effect, I think. but a lot of cost savings, so.
Yeah, for us as well, when we're sending the messaging to these customers, our intent is to include information on where they can go get this for a direct streaming subscription from the programmers, so that they know where the substitute content is available, and we're not just telling them, hey, we're dropping it, good luck finding it on your own.
Right, okay. So not everybody's bill is gonna go down on cable.
No, well, the people subscribing to those services that we're
Those-
dropping will go down, because
Yep.
we're not gonna have them anymore.
Yep.
And then the folks that do have Stars and Showtime will see a drop.
Yep.
So today, our Stars price is $12.95. November 1st, it'll go to $8.99. That's a $3.96 savings, almost
Good.
$4. Showtime is $14.95, going to $10.99. Again, it's about $4
Well, usually
a
we're
month
passing out
savings.
bad news, okay, rates going up again, and this is one of those times where we should kind of celebrate it minimally, but still celebrate the fact that we're actually reducing rates and doing it efficiently and effectively, so.
Yeah, and I think with standing out the video on demand, Aaron can attest to this too. I mean, it's not what we like to do on the legacy side, but with that equipment reaching end of life and the significant cost for ongoing maintenance, the servers themselves take a lot of their time. And as we're moving to Minerva and we're moving to fiber, I mean, that's an opportunity cost. If they're focusing on this legacy product that really people aren't using any longer, they're not focusing on the things that are getting us to that next generation of service.
Now, do we have any, by going 1 November, do we have a contractor that provides VOD? Do we have to, is there a payment, a penalty for pulling out, or does the contract happen to expire?
So we've been on, our year-to-year renewal contracts are no longer year-to-year, and it's sort of been a month-to-month for all of these channels. So as I've connected with all of these different programmers, it's been a non-issue. Just a letter from us telling them the date that we're standing it down. I will say that as consumers move to Minerva, video on demand will come back in other formats. We will have some free on-demand content from the different linear programmers. So for example, if you get HGTV on demand as part of your subscription to Expanded Basic, because that's where HGTV sits. So we'll have some on-demand within Minerva, but then because Minerva is an app that rides on another platform, whether it be your Fire TV stick, your smart TV, Apple TV, you're in an environment that's filled with apps, and we have our Watch TV everywhere for all of these different over-the-top apps. So in addition to the VOD that'll be part of Minerva, all of these other apps will be available for the full suite of on-demand and linear streaming content for our customers, as well as the other things like if you want to rent a movie from Amazon Prime or those kinds of opportunities. So with Minerva, we're dropping a little bit here on the legacy, but it'll come back with the Minerva product, and hopefully we'll see a rapid deployment of that once we have all of our ducks in a row on the technology pieces.
We'll have a lot of TV and movies available on Minerva, just none of the ones you have to pay to rent. And that's what we're seeing, the massive decline in. People don't rent movies off their cable box anymore, so.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah, we've been paying minimums on that for more than a year now, just because we haven't made revenue on those rental movies.
But the benefit with Minerva is that, like, our content that's VOD related that you don't have to pay for right now on our cable boxes is very limited because of our storage capacity issues. All of that goes away with Minerva, so you can get access to more content that people say, well, when I'm on the Cape, I have more stuff on demand. Well, they'll have all that now with Minerva.
Anybody, any questions, comments?
I just had a quick question. If someone subscribed to Showtime or whatever, any of these, this is just my ignorance more than anything else, I guess, to how this works, but I imagine Showtime also has a streaming platform. They're two different things, right?
But as
So one would be like
a cable
station.
subscriber, you're doing a little bit better for the same price than if you just went direct for streaming, because you get the linear channels, which is usually a suite, depending on whether it's Stars or Showtime. I don't know, 12 channels, 15 channels, something like that. So you get the linear channels where you can just tune to them on your box. Plus you get the video on demand, which will be part of the Minerva Plus. You have access to the Showtime Anytime app, the Stars Anywhere, HBO Now, whatever the affiliated app is that people are buying direct from these programmers. As a cable subscriber to the channel package, you're also getting access to that app. So the content that you have is extensive through all of these different mechanisms that you can get to your programming.
Nice.
It's all the same content as if you were to go directly through them for the app, but you also get the channels, essentially.
Yep.
Great. Thank you.
Do you have figures on one premium? As you start with, because of the because of the discount, you went 2, 3, 4, 5, but do you have a sense of what one premium?
So I can look that up for you, because it's per premium. So,
And then the other question I kind of had was, on the channels we're discontinuing, were we paying a base, like say for ZTV, there's only 12 subscribers, were we paying a minimum of 25 or 50 or something like that?
no, we're paying actually on
Per
5 subscribers for
subscriber.
CCTV4 and 12 for ZTV.
So TV Asia, we've been paying $20 or $50 to somebody every month.
Yeah, whatever the rate is, yeah.
So
It's
the-
such
so-
low numbers. They had no
Yeah.
issue when I reached out to them. They're like, oh, you're still there?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we've only been maintaining our gear because you had 4 subscribers. Because, no, and I think what your question was, because there are a number of channels, normal channels that we carry that we have, when we have them in our normal,
We pay on
we
everybody
have to pay for
regardless if
everybody whether
anybody's
they're
watching them.
using it or not.
Right.
And that was like some of the sports channels. I think NHL hockey was one of those where, again, we showed that we had a handful of people who were actually using it, but every customer was being charged, or we were being charged, everybody that's hooked into cable for the NHL channel. So, okay, but these are different. These are the
Yep, these are premiums.
They were just pay as you go.
And with those channels, I mean, if you have, one head-end employee that spends an hour and a half on it in a month, it's,
Yeah.
you've already,
Yeah,
for what you're bringing in for 4 people, so.
Yeah, good.
Nope, and I think it, like I said, for Aaron's team, this streamlines things in the back end. Just they can focus their energy where it needs to be.
Good. Good. Yes, sir.
There's one more question. With the conversion to Minerva, does the channel lineup change, or is it the same subscription, just the interface is changing?
So it is the same subscription and the interface does change, but within our existing footprint, we have all channels basically duplicated, right? Because we have them in standard definition and we have them in HD. In Minerva, it's only HD. So today, for example, if you wanted to watch WCVB, which is channel 5, it's the ABC station, you'd go to 5 if you wanted in HD, or 305 if you wanted in, in SD, and 305 if you wanted in HD. When we get to Minerva, we're ditching those 300s. We're gonna go with 2 through 91 or whatever it is for basic, and then instead of jumping to the 400s for what was formerly the digital package, which will now be the select package, you'll be in the 200s, and so they'll be the lower numbers, and they'll all be HD. There's no standard def.
Way less channels to navigate through.
Fewer channel maps to deal with as well.
And with the broadcasts that are only standard definition, there are a few out there. They'll still be available. They'll just, everything is HD, but if the feed is SD, it'll just be that one channel in standard definition.
So an example of that would be Boomerang, right? That's a Turner channel. It's cartoons, classic cartoons, a lot of Scooby-Doo on there if you're a big fan. But that's only available in SD. It'll be on the Minerva lineup in SD because simply an HD feed is not currently available. So there's that good example.
Mm-hmm.
And no issue of, if you don't have a high definition television? If someone is, what if
well,
someone gets like an Apple, well, the TV probably wouldn't even have the
yeah,
ability
so,
to take
right,
it, right?
right, exactly. Yeah, you would have an issue if you had, like a RCA TV that only had a coaxial cable input, but I think, you'd have issues even with our current service if that was the case, so.
Yeah.
It is all digital now, HD equivalent, so you have to have the capability to do that.
Okay, and those little adapters that we used to, are we still, the people that have the old TVs?
The AB switches?
Pardon?
The AB switches, are you
Well,
talking?
no, didn't we have some way, we had something where you could get 2 of them for free and we provided?
Oh, the DTAs.
Yeah, the
DTAs.
DTAs. It was-
So on the Minerva platform, all legacy boxes, whether it's DTAs, the digital, the HD, the DVRs, the TiVos, all of that will be going away. And you will have a choice between bringing your own device or getting one from us, like a Fire TV stick or an Apple TV or, pick your poison, Roku. Or you'll be able to get a Linux box from us, which is going to be more similar to that DTA model. So you'll get something that looks and feels a little bit more like a traditional cable box. Logistics on that'll be towards the end of our rollout because we're going to start with the easy to deploy ones, the bring your own device model, the people who we know have HD services. We're going to start with those folks that are the easy ones as Aaron and his team work to solve some of the technical challenges.
Yeah, so our launch plan is customers that have our video service and internet, right? So that solves like right up front, that solves like a majority of those problems. We are working on having a set-top box replacement that will run the Minerva app, but it requires, from the technical side of things, work like we'll have a bootloader. So the box, although might be an Android or Linux set-top box, it'll boot like it's just the app running and nothing else. So you don't access like other programs or anything on the box itself. It looks like an old cable box. It doesn't look like an old cable box. It'll be all the new interface, but it'll operate like one where you don't have to navigate through different apps like Netflix or Hulu or whatever. It'll just be
Power on, you've got TV playing, you're ready to go.
But there are limitations in the functionality of that for customers who don't have internet. So that's the stuff we're working on, in the background. So that won't be at launch, which is fine with us.
That's my brother. He doesn't have internet. He's in the housing for the elderly, so, he's got an old TV. Is he still gonna be able to get TV?
So once we have that set-top box solution, yeah. So initially we wouldn't be targeting your brother for migration. It'll be just like the internet.
I'll buy him
But-
another TV, one of these.
yeah. Or maybe he wants to get internet.
Yeah,
with
Christmas is coming, Tony, and,
That's what my sister
Yeah,
said,
you
we'll
know.
get him a new TV.
So
and you want him to stand on the porch holding the hanger so you can get the
Yeah,
channel.
The nice thing about Minerva, so unlike fiber where we're targeting these migrations, it's very geographically based because it's by node. It's where we're actually building the fiber plant. With Minerva, because it's a technology and less so physical plant that's out there, we can target by customer type. So we're able within our database to see what people have. So in the early days of this rollout, we'll be targeting the easiest to deploy people, so we make sure everything's going smoothly as they work to deal with some of those more challenging customers. So as we get towards the end of the rollout, it might be folks that have TV with no internet, and they only have DTAs. And so it's all of these slicing and dicing of our customer base to make sure it goes as smoothly as possible, and we have the best solutions in place as we get to your customer group.
The major advantage is if you have your own devices or you just want Fire TV 6s, it's not like fiber where we're not there yet. You can sign up whenever you want, call us, we'll flip the switch. It's like that easy, so it's nice.
Okay.
One last
Yes, sir, go ahead.
question, sorry. Thinking of like DVR, TiVo, is there a recording option?
Yeah, so there's a 50-hour included, everybody gets it just for having the service. So that's a huge change from our legacy platform where you had to, pay more for DVR. But then there's also the option to, for an additional cost, go to 100 hours of DVR. So that's a nice change of pace.
We could even conceivably go to
Yeah.
150.
Oh, yeah.
You
We
could
have
buy
more
it in
options.
50-hour
Yeah,
increments.
we have more options. Like we can choose to increase that amount and for a different package. But initially, we said, all right, we'll test it with the 50 and 100.
And I'll tell you, it is going to be a huge improvement because everybody gets HD. Even if you just buy basic, it's all going to be HD. Everybody gets DVR. Even if you just buy basic, you're getting the DVR components. So that is a significant customer experience improvement over where we're at today.
The features that are nice with like the DVR built in, and the reason why you do it is everybody can pause now, right? You're not, when we think of DVR, it's not just going and saying, hey, I want to record this show. It's, you can pause and then fast forward through commercials when you come back to the room or
30-second
whatever.
replay.
Yeah, you have all of that included because you have the DVR capability. So that's why the decision to include it was so easy, because you get that functionality.
How did you adjust pricing, or is that a different thought for a different day? Because at least remembering back, say I moved here in 2001, and all we had was, say, basic. And then say, well, for HD, it's an extra $10, right? So, and then we slowly built up into what we have now. If you want DVR, it's an extra $10 here. It sounds like this is all encompassing. How are you moving all of our various packages to what you're describing?
Yeah. So if you, under the legacy, the old stuff, the SA Cisco boxes, it was a little convoluted because when you bought a channel package, it also included some box types in it, and then you'd have to buy additional boxes. When we moved to TiVo in 2017, we fixed that. So you buy your channel package, and then you rent your boxes, whatever boxes you want. So basically, the Minerva channel package pricing will be under the same model kind of that TiVo is. So you're buying your channel package, which will be the equivalent of basic, expanded, or the TiVo package, depending if you want everything or not. And then you choose whether or not you're renting boxes from us or if you're going to bring your own device. And if you're getting boxes from us, there'll be a monthly fee associated with that. So it's more analogous to the TiVo model, and I'm glad we cleaned that up in 2017 because it certainly makes this transition easier. And as we move from the legacy product to the new Minerva product, there are fees that are associated with all subscribers that are going to be going away, and new and different fees that are going to be stood up related to Minerva. So we may see some change in pricing at that basic level to cover these guide costs, but it'll just be across the board, and it shouldn't be a dramatic difference. Where we're really seeing the price changes is through the programmers. As you know, the costs continue to rise there, and that's always been a struggle. But it'll give people more options because they'll be able to get that HD at the expanded basic level if they want to drop down, or the basic level. And they'll be able to get the DVR, and they'll be able to bring their own device. So there'll be just more options for customers to select which package is right for them.
And something that we're including, just because of the structure of how all this works. So right now you pay a box fee for all the boxes you have in your house. That's going away, but for the customers who might have like 10 boxes, obviously there's like a revenue aspect of what we're bringing in from that. We have this feature, or the way it's referred to as concurrent streams. So how many TVs in your house could be watching the Minerva, product at a given time? That's not how many you can have set up. It's how many are like physically watching TV. Like, let's say you have, 3 rooms, you're all watching football on a Sunday or something, and then somebody wants to go into a 4th room and turn on the game. You wouldn't be able to. There's a 3-stream concurrent maximum. However, we offer additional packages to increase the amount of concurrent streams that you can have at a given time. So it's kind of a safety mechanism to offset customers who might have had like 8 boxes in their house or something, right? Like if you want to have more streams with us, you can pay for it, but it's an additional cost, and it's not really
It's similar to what you see on Netflix, or you can buy the base package, but if you're going to try and watch, if everybody in my family, I have 5 people in my family, if everybody's watching Netflix at the same time, I'm not going to be able to do it unless I buy that next package up. So
It's also, because it's an app, it's just, you can share your password, right? Is there something tied to your address, or is it just strictly app-based?
So it's 100% tied to the restriction of our IP range within town. So you can't use it outside of town, or you couldn't share it with somebody outside of town. You would be restricted in that sense. As far as, within the town, the limitation, as far as being granular enough for a street address, it would be like impossible to do that with Minerva. So in theory, could that potentially arise as an issue? Yes, but it would have to be within town specifically, and that's it. And you'd run into the concurrent stream problem.
So the SELCO everywhere wouldn't work anymore? Like you can't go anywhere with
TV Everywhere apps
yeah.
are outside of the Minerva platform, so these are the apps provided by each of the programmers, which can sit on your Fire TV stick, but they can also ride on your phone or your iPad or whatever. And those are being authenticated against your cable subscription to make sure you have rights to view that channel, but it's done through a different platform that uses Adobe Pass to do the authentication. So it's tied to your account, but it would operate just as it does today. You could watch those anywhere within the U.S. I think there's limitations outside of the country.
They treat it differently because it's not live TV. Live TV has a lot of regional restrictions. So, and I am not an expert in those restrictions, but I know specifically like where they black out channels because you have to watch it on a certain broadcast or whatever. We see it with like a lot of sports games, right? You see, it's on NESN or it's on NBC or it's on whatever. So that's why it's different for live TV versus the like Watch TV Everywhere apps.
Like, so if you use the NESN app to watch the live Red Sox game, for example, and you're down the Cape, it'd probably stream just fine through the TV Everywhere app. But if you were in California, it might be blacked out because it knows you're not in the right geographic area.
Yeah.
But so that TV Everywhere app does that today.
Okay.
Lots of moving parts, guys. Any other questions?
When is the first phase?
Well, so we're working with Amazon right now, and I say working generously. We're waiting on Amazon, so that's the last part of this equation, and it's 100% in Amazon's court. They have to approve the app, and they went through an initial testing phase, and I'm not going to say exactly what happened, but directions weren't followed to a T by somebody, Amazon, and unfortunately they rejected the app. So we're in another phase of trying to get this app pushed through, with very, very clear instructions on what account to use and that kind of thing. But we are waiting on them, so it's all app approval. So what goes up on the Amazon App Store, that is their decision, and they have to, vet everything and make sure that they approve it and it works correctly. So Amazon's the last one. We're already all set with Apple, and which Apple we were told would be the most difficult. That was easy. Android is all set. It's just Amazon. But the problem is Amazon is also how we're providing our Fire TV sticks to customers who don't have a bring your own device. So it's the most important one of all. It works on their tablets. They approved it on their tablet app, but just not the Amazon TV app.
So I'll add to that. We're hopeful once the Amazon app gets approved. There's some technical stuff we're still trying to figure out, just with stream quality. But we're going to release it to a test group of employees who happen to live in town. I think we have like, what, a dozen people that we're going to have them pilot this for a few weeks, run some tests, give us reports back to make sure that the quality is there. Then we'll roll out to a small group of customers who we've already identified, who would be the best group to go to. Let that bake for a little bit, and then we'll start getting the ball rolling. I think once we've got it solidly in place, it'll be all systems go, try and push forward with as many as we can get to while they work on solving some of those more challenging customers that we discussed, like Tony's brother, with the intent that we want to get everybody to this Minerva system as quickly as possible, because this transition will be a pain point for us, particularly as we move into NISC. NISC, which is the system that Jim was talking about, is an all-encompassing enterprise software. It's not just financials, but we're going to be moving all of our customer data into there. It's going to replace our 2 different billing systems. And today it doesn't support the legacy cable boxes. So the faster we can get to Minerva, the easier that NISC transition will be, because it'll support all of that natively.
Our most recent go live date was an estimation of October 1st, and that was when we thought, we were days away from Amazon approving. We're ready from a technical standpoint. If Amazon approves it, it's a 2-day turnaround of finish the remaining training for the people who haven't seen the app, because the app isn't working right now, and then we're good to go. And then we go to the friendlies. So we were ready to go. So I hate to say it, but unfortunately, Amazon going through a second round of this now, it's really set us back as far as that October 1st date. We're good to go as soon as they let us, download the app. It's just a matter of their app store. But we've seen horror stories online of people saying, it took 12 weeks, it took this, and we've had this submitted for, over a month now. So we're hoping that it should be, if we can get it in the next week, we'll be in good shape. But it's really up to them.
Yeah, to expedite, pushing this thing out.
So the problem is everything is done through a web form. There's no actual contact with an Amazon employee of any kind. So, and we've exhausted our Minerva contacts, our GLDS contacts, our NCTC contacts to see if anybody can say hey, can you get us someone to talk to? But it's not a thing, which, I get from their engineering team not wanting to, talk with customers, but at the same time, it's tough for us, so.
That's not right.
Yeah, we should provide the first portion of first push should be provided to let's say kindergarten through 5th graders, because they're the ones who are going to help the grandparents figure out.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't even want to watch TV. TV, what's that?
Yeah.
Anyways, well, great, good update. Any other questions? No.
Just a technical thing, how come the images are reversed? Ronnie, you guys,
SMC's running that show.
That's Liz. She's just messing with you right now
Yeah.
in the back room.
Great.
Okay. Well, good. Thank you very much.
That's
Yep.
what's being displayed.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Thanks.
No problem.
Thank you. So there's no vote on that. Jackie, why don't you just remain there? General Manager, highlights.
You're not off the hot seat yet.
Sure. All right. Well, we'll.
That's why we had Jackie hang around here, I think.
Exactly. We'll go through, in the interest of time, just through some of these real quick. The legislative bits. In typical fashion, I tried to pull some headlines that give a sense for folks just how the markets are doing and some of the influencing factors on our business. Again, just the general theme here is the gas prices and gas issues continue to put a major burden on pricing. So there's several articles just highlighting that from different perspectives. Again, more studies just showing electricity prices taking the biggest leap in 41 years is one of the headlines. So that's another big one. If folks stay tuned, to Europe as well, you see a lot of the energy issues that Europe is facing in today's market and the Ukraine conflict. And and all of those factors that are, I guess, largely unprecedented in recent history. I thought this one was an interesting one. Real quick, just to call attention to can the Northeast slash carbon and keep the lights on? Again, this is one of those, I guess, passionate discussion points about how we continue to make progress towards our 2050 or 2030 goals. And again, I think one of I guess this is somewhat of my opinion injected in here, is one of the key takeaways in this is diversity. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. That's been true forever. And so one of the points here is gas is a component. We're too reliant on it. And as we progress forward, as we try and do with our portfolio, wind, hydro, solar, nuclear, and there's, just a variety of different sources to incorporate in there.
Can I just add a little, oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I spent a lot of time on these issues, previous lifestyle, and reading this. I think this was all from the Burlington FERC hearing last week. Yeah, I think it's important to understand, like, this is a incredibly serious issue, and the problem is, and you see it in Gordon Van Wheely's comments. He's like, "Oh, I guess you're going to tell me that the FERC doesn't have the authority to do it." Well, then the states turn to ISO New England and say, "Well, what are you going to do about it?" Well, it's up to all of you states to figure out. So the states get together and they try to figure it out, and then you need to get 6 states and 6 legislatures on board. If you can miraculously get that to happen, then a new governor comes in one of those states, or a new legislature turns over, and you're starting from scratch, and you're in the same cycle. So the problem right now is everybody looks around and is like, it's this person's fault, it's this person's fault. Or when what hits the fan, that's really where it's going to come out. And unfortunately, that's what it's going to take. It's going to take these blackouts, which we are on the cusp of seeing. We all understand that. And until that happens and the blame game starts, we're not making any progress. This has been 15 years in the making, and we're nowhere on it.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, one of the things I think we talked about a couple months ago was Maine had voted to not allow a transmission line to come in that would have allowed us to bring down hydropower. Between last meeting and this meeting, there's now been a court ruling that they got to revisit that vote and determine whether or not they can actually build that transmission line. But again, that's just another delay of years before we'd have a potential of even bringing hydro down. I mean, even this morning, looking at the ISO New England thing, 64% of all the power is being provided by natural gas in New England, and another thing that just go on is last month I had the opportunity to attend a legislative Energy Horizons Institute meeting out in Richland, Washington, which brought legislators from all across the country and Canada to talk about energy. And the bottom line coming out of that meeting was, we are not going to solve our energy crisis via wind and solar. It's not going to happen. I mean, a lot of legislatures across the country are betting on small modular reactors as being the solution if you're not going to use natural gas. Because these are the other some pretty knowledgeable people giving some pretty good presentations that it's just not going to happen. You can't.
I agree. My livelihood depends on that right now. And I can tell you right now, as much as I would like to say it is, there's not a chance. It's technologically and financially impossible.
Yeah, and so you see the people that are saying, well, I fought to not make sure we didn't put a gas pipeline, for redundancy in the state of Massachusetts. Well, I think you're being short-sighted on that, because gas is going to have to be around for a long time. We're going to have redundancy to make this sort of thing happen. Exactly. Not that I'm a proponent necessarily of fossil fuels of the thing, but the reality of life is again, it's not just going to be just be solar, and it's not going to just be wind. Yeah. And I don't see anybody in Shrewsbury raising their hand to put a wind turbine in their backyard. So.
Yeah, right. And solar has a 13% capacity factor.
Yeah, with NIMBY, we need all this stuff, but not in my backyard.
Right.
So.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see. Well, okay, we've kind of gone off the. Yeah. Let's see, those articles, do get us going.
You're reading them.
It's critical. And I would say, again, maybe this is an opinion piece, but just the general public, I feel like is not really completely informed on how close we are to some of these critical.
No. Well, you know, again, the part of that meeting that I was at, they showed what they call the duck curve for California, which shows that, you know, during the day, they have no demand for power, very little power demand from the grid because there's so much solar that's available. But it's gotten to the point now where they've shut down all these other potential power plants, and then on the peak, at the end of the day, when everybody comes home and they get their electric cars and they want to get them charged or whatever,
Right.
or all the other demand, they can't meet it, and they got rolling brownouts as it is.
And that's exactly the problem, is the belly of the duck is getting smaller because of the increased capacity of solar and daytime generation. And then on the edges, because of the electrification of everything that we're doing, that load is actually increasing.
Yeah.
And we're providing those electrons through fossil fuel generation, requiring us to actually use more fossil fual generation overall throughout the course of the day than we were before.
Well, and on top of that, the state had gotten PG, Pacific Power, to spend millions of dollars to get ready to shut down Diablo Canyon nuclear power plant, which is in California. And now all of a sudden, no, not so fast.
Right.
We got to bring this baby back to life because they can't. That's the only grid controller that they have.
We're 10 years behind Europe. Europe just experienced this. They're going back to nuclear. They're going back to natural gas. And geopolitical stuff is twisting that up sideways. But because they tried to just go whole hog at it, it dramatically increased their cost of electricity production. And they had reliability issues that they now realized, okay, we need to do this in a more sustainable fashion going forward. And we are on the same exact trajectory in certain states in the United States, in the Northeast, in the edges of the country. And history's repeating itself.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry.
No, and trying to dovetail with that, I added these last 3 articles that play into that, being all electric vehicle. Well, this is starting with California, but California, Connecticut, planning for all electric vehicle sales by 2035. So that's again another factor in there. And then just if you say, oh well, you know, I still have heating oil for my house, you know, I'm not, you know, impacted by this. I had to throw in article number 2 that, in typical fashion, I mean, everything's tied together. So heating oil costs are going to grow significantly as well. So that's something to be mindful of. And then lastly, just to echo, I guess, some of the statements that you just made. This was an article about Millstone, and that was a bit of a controversy there, but Millstone is continuing to operate as a nuclear power plant there and providing a backstop for some of these initiatives. So,
yeah, I think people in Shrewsbury need to realize that, you know, in the past with Jim Baker and the follow-on folks who have been general managers like yourself, where they looked ahead and really had us heavily invest into Seabrook and Millstone, and that's why our rates. One of the reasons why our rates are as low as they are is that because we were able to support nuclear power and be part of the shareholders of those things. That's helped us long term as far as those plants are running. Because if those plants ever went away, our electric bills would just go through the roof.
so.
Okay.
Okay, so that's that for the worldview. And then focusing more on SELCO, just to cover some of the HR-related activity, which continues to just be a major focal point for our internal operations. And if you don't mind, I will cover each of these bullet points because I do think it's important. So we hired our first fiber designer and construction coordinator as we continue. So that's David Libby. He's been working out great over the last couple of weeks here, and as we complete a fiber build out and transition from a coax-based system, it just places a multitude, more emphasis on the fact that we need to have this in a computer-based platform that ties together. You have strand counts up there. 144 strands that you need to trace throughout town So all those have to be linked back.
I've seen his work thus far, it's pretty.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Oh, good.
It's very
That's
colorful,
important.
It looks good.
So that's what we go for. You know, part of that is art degree. But
Are we going to be able to use his information on power outages?
He's
That
gonna watch
Yeah.
this and say, "Come on, man, you know it's a lot of work." I'm like, "I don't know, it just looks really nice."
yeah.
It's just an added benefit.
No, because right now, because to help us on power
Yes.
outages, on the
Yes.
cable side, we can see
100%.
if we lose cable, that gives us the first indication people have lost power, and we can send teams out before we even get calls.
Yeah, a lot more granular insight into where things are located. as
Great,
well.
great, okay.
Or just as a piece of, I mean, maybe it made the local news, or if a landscaping trailer that's completely engulfed in flames parks under our pole and melts all of our fiber off the pole, and then we have to figure out how to splice it all back together. His records will allow us to do that.
God.
It'll show exactly like what type of connectors, terminals, everything that's there. So
Wow, okay.
Wow, that's great.
So,
you won't have to get on site and assess. You'll be able to do it.
Yeah. So we can get ahead of that 1-year lead time for all those parts.
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. And again, continue retirements. Mike Vizzo, our first-class substation worker, he retired, had a wealth of knowledge. We have, 8 years of tenure here, but just in general as an individual with a bunch of knowledge. So that was another, just loss of institutional knowledge there. And again, we were very fortunate, again, trying to give folks opportunities to progress in their careers. So we promoted Gordon to cable field supervisor. He is a critical cog in our field operations and a wealth of knowledge. So we're very excited that he is willing to take a larger leadership role within our cable group. We have several postings out there: CSR, second class electric maintenance worker, senior engineer. I believe we also have a standing line worker posting. So there's just a lot of activity out there in the recruiting world, and we're trying to make sure we're in the mix to compete for top talent. Our own Rick here was promoted to marketing and communications manager. So congratulations to him. We hired Val since our last report. I don't know, Val, just, she's awesome. So Val's been great. And then Jeff, 18 years, he's retiring, moving to Texas. So again, just some activity there. And then not on this list because it's hot off the press from yesterday, our own Jackie Pratt is accepting a general manager role up in Stowe, Vermont.
Oh,
So we're very, very happy for her.
Very happy for you, but
yeah.
very
Good
disappointed
news and
for
bad
us.
news.
Yeah, so,
Congratulations.
Stowe, Vermont is the winner of that lottery.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You kind of win too. Stowe's
Yeah, I
awesome.
think
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I know, it was
Really looking
very,
forward to it, yeah.
Nice area.
Nice.
Oh.
We were just up there for the Northeast
Yeah.
Public Power
Conference.
Conference. Beautiful. You and the Von Trapp or Van Trapp?
Von Trapp, yep.
Van family, right? That's
Yeah, it's just right down the road
Right
from the
down
light
the road.
department.
Yeah.
Convenient.
Good brewery.
Congratulations, Jackie.
Congratulations.
Jackie, real quick, how long have you been with SELCO?
19 years in December would be my 19-year anniversary. So
Yeah.
it's been great working with you guys over the years, all of you. So it's been just a wonderful experience, and I'm really looking forward to the next phase for sure too.
Yeah, we go to these
going
conferences,
up,
and
that's
we mentioned
great.
we're from Shrewsbury, and the first name, Jackie Pratt. Like,
I know.
I get around.
You're a known quantity. Yeah.
Can't get my head around that. Do you guys free ski pass at least?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
nice.
Man,
And
Free pass.
just a unique observation as a human being. I have never met someone, you mentioned 19 years, I've never met someone that could probably recall every day of those 19 years with precision.
I wouldn't doubt it.
It's incredible, the
Yeah.
memory and history.
yeah, you mentioned somebody's name or something, and all of a sudden she has a whole litany of issues they've had with us or not in the past.
Yep.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, that's good.
When is that?
October 14th will be my last day here.
Wow.
Wow. Okay. You're gonna have another movie popcorn fest down at Dean Park. Is it going on? I hear that was a big success.
Yeah, they sold out of popcorn by 8:30. So
Yeah, yeah.
And no bugs because you did it in September rather than the.
fall is the time. No worries about Triple E or West Nile or anything.
Yeah,
We've been
I-
canceled in previous years, so it seems like fall is the time to do it. Nice
Great.
weather.
Looked like a lot of folks had a lot of good times at that thing, so that's good.
You got your hands full to fill up.
Yeah.
I know. I've only been on the board for a year, but, you know, for years, no offense to Michael or you, Chris, or anyone, but when I think of Selco, I think of Jackie. Just wearing so many hats,
Yeah,
and even from being outside on the board, just phenomenal, impossible to place person that will be missed.
She was the face of Selco because we did all those SMC shows, and,
Yeah.
and Jackie would be the one leading the charge along with Maria.
Right,
Right.
right.
So, anyways, it will be missed, but
Thank you.
there's a game.
Yeah,
for
definitely,
us.
definitely news for me, but Jackie, I'm so impressed by you, so.
Thank you.
I know you will do so well.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just a phone call away if anybody has any questions with that memory.
Too busy right
Selco?
I'm
Who?
gonna come visit. I'm gonna come visit in the winter.
Sounds great.
Now, do they have, up at Stowe, is it just electric, or do they also have internet and,
Just electric. They do water billing for the town as well, but yep, just electric. Some really exciting stuff going on. They're doing a net zero microgrid study. They're going to be ramping up renewal of a hydro plant right behind the light department that was destroyed during Irene. It's hopefully going to be online by the end of 2024. Gonna look at doing a whole bunch of really cool stuff up there. I think it's going to be really great.
Very cool.
oh, good.
Awesome. Good for you.
Okay.
There it is.
What else you
That's added, and then I know we have to transition to our next topic, so I
Okay.
guess this is.
More of an update than anything else, yeah.
It's, yeah, there's just quick updates.
Did anybody have any other questions on the general manager's notes that were provided? You know, I know on the backside it shows.
No, these are
you know,
great, though.
if we're all set there. Well, great. Well, that's super, except for the news on Jackie.
Yeah.
But, well, okay. With that said, we're about ready to close the open meeting, but we have an executive session that we're going to roll into. And so I'll read the recommendation that we have, and then we can go for it. So, executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A10, to discuss trade secrets or confidential, competitively sensitive, or other proprietary information provided. In the course of activities conducted by a governmental body as an energy supplier under a license granted by the Department of Public Utilities pursuant to General Law, Chapter 164, Paragraph 1F, Board of Selectmen Cable Franchise Agreement. So I would like a motion to vote to enter into an executive session for the purposes that I've read, and we will not return to open session.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I move that the commission votes to enter into executive session for the purpose as listed on the agenda.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second?
Okay, roll call vote. In favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Second? Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes, okay. With that, and the time being 9:52, we will.
8:52.
8:50. 08:52. We'll close the open Selco meeting and go into executive session, not to return to open session. Thank you very much.
Thank you.